What's up and welcome back to Talk Nutrition. First of all, happy Thanksgiving. This is a very last minute kind of Thanksgiving / holidays episode because I only wrote this stuff or, the notes, I guess, and the posts related to this podcast on my way back home. So I just got back home, got off the plane and went straight home, back to work. A lot of catching up to do. Not that I haven't been working because I've just been working, my usual work days when I was visiting my family for the last 10 days. But I've had a hard time coming up with content. I guess we could call it writer's block, right? It's a real thing. I go through periods where I have a really easy time to kind of come up with stuff. I can just start writing and it just flows, you know what I mean? As you know, I've done a lot of blogging as well. And some mornings it just happens almost. And then I go through periods where it actually gets quite hard. And it's funny too, because, I talk about nutrition, fitness, health, every single day, all the time, right? I know exactly what my clients are dealing with. I know exactly what the main things are that you might have a hard time with, figuring out. But somehow I go through these periods where it's just very difficult to come up with posts. It's very difficult to come up with podcasts. The blogging, same kind of thing. I had periods where I was like, I want to write about this. And then the next week I would go I don't know what to say. I don't know what to write. It's a real thing, writer's block. Which is why at the time of this recording, until today, I hadn't posted for 2 weeks, which is quite a long time, for someone who's trying to be very present online. And I'm really trying to do my best to put out content, for you. But I just have to do a lot of thinking and also kind of see where this block came from maybe, and it's still going to happen at some point, you know what I mean? Which is why I need to really just double down on content when it does start to flow. And to be honest with you, for 2 weeks, it just didn't happen. There was something in my brain that just, wouldn't allow it to happen. And then I swear, on my second flight today, all of a sudden, I just snapped out of it. I literally, I noticed, right, all of a sudden, there was something that changed there. I cannot put my finger on it, but I'm something happened and I noticed it in the moment where I was boom, idea. Grabbed my notepad, started to write stuff, right? And I started to write what's now 3 posts that I posted today about the holidays, which was a total rant, to be honest with you. It was a total rant. A lot of real talk. And before we even get into this episode, I want you to know that a lot of it comes from a place of love and understanding. By no means is this kind of a calling you out kind of, podcast, or I'm not going to give you a lot of shit. You know what I mean? But what I will do is I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I'm going to push you a little bit. We're going to approach the holidays differently this year. Because, of course, I've also thought about, doing posts and podcasts about, the exact tactics that you can use to, social media is full of it already, right? And to be fair, we talk about this stuff all the time, if we're dealing with cravings, we want to cover protein and fiber. If we're, we always talk about social settings. Thanksgiving is not different. Holidays in general is not different. So I also want you to know that you might not be based in the US or Canada. This podcast is still for you, right? This is for everyone who celebrates holidays, which I believe is everyone listening to this podcast. You know what I mean? So even if you're based in Europe and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, this one's still for you. But this is not another Thanksgiving / holiday survival podcast. We just need to get real for a second and we need to talk about a few things. And we're just going to dive in. In the meantime, do me a massive favor. I'd be very, very thankful if you drop me a quick 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple. On Apple, by the way, you can actually do a review if you would like to. But even just a quick, 5-star on Spotify goes a long way. And it's truly one of the main things, that helps kind of promote this podcast. We do it for free, as you already know. And I want to help you. You know what I mean? I want to help you. And that's exactly why I'm recording this podcast now. 7 p.m. in the evening. I'm going to put this up right after it's done, right? And I just had to record this, right? So like I said, I came off the plane, did a little bit of work, boom, right now we're recording, right? So let's get into it, because first of all, so this is going to be part 1. The holidays are not the problem. They're not. Hear me out. Because yes, many people overeat and gain weight during the holiday season. And sure, these celebrations are based around a lot of really good food. And it comes with a lot of great snacks and quality time with your friends and your family. And it's a season, of course, to let go for a little bit, We've been working hard. You wind down a bit. You want to let go a bit. You want to be more flexible. I want you to be more flexible, right? And of course, I get it. Every single year when it's Christmas or Thanksgiving or even your birthday, whatever it may be, I know that you stress about holiday weight gain. But can we stop acting as if those few days out of the year where you want to be a bit more flexible will completely ruin everything else you do? Of course, that's not the case. But here's the thing, like, I don't blame you, because it's almost like you're fed this idea through social media. And I don't believe people do this on purpose. Absolutely not. But to be honest with you, and this is just my opinion, feel free to disagree, and there may be other coaches listening or PTs. Maybe you don't agree, and that's okay. It's okay to disagree. But I think that what a lot of coaches and PTs are doing is feed into this thing, because we're all blowing up. Thanksgiving and Christmas is this scary big fucking thing. It's like, it's a couple days. It's no different than going out for food for the evening. Of course, there's maybe different foods, right? Yes, it's a holiday. It's a little bit more special, but it's the same shit as learning how to include a weekend away with the boys, you know? What to do when you celebrate your, I don't know, graduation. We need times where we let go a little bit. So again, can we just not make such a big deal out of it? Right? It doesn't have to be that big of a deal. I do understand though, still. Again, like, this was a total rant, and I'm going to be ranting on this podcast as well. But I do get it. It makes sense that you feel stress around, you know, or a little insecure maybe around the holidays when it comes to your food and fitness, when it comes to weight gain, nutrition. Because first of all, like, you may just not really know yet how to handle these kind of situations, and that's okay. Because, to be fair, it's one of the main things people struggle with, to go on vacation or have the holiday and then both be flexible and still making healthy choices most of the time. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, but that's easier said than done. Let's be fair. It's going to take a long time for you to learn and figure that out. And like I said, I mean, social media is full of the holiday hacks and the low calorie or healthier versions of whatever Thanksgiving or Christmas snack or food or whatever it is. And there's like the healthy recipe guys, and those are all great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not hating on them either. You know what I mean? There's a lot of great stuff out there too. Of course, these posts where, you know, it's how to beat the cravings and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, holiday weight gain this and that. Like, sure, those can be helpful. And I'm not saying that stuff shouldn't be there. And I'm also not saying that you shouldn't try that stuff, because to be fair, I think it's a great time for you to try new things, right? Going back to our framework that we do, or that we use for every single special scenario, reflect on past experiences. Today, reflect on Thanksgiving last year, Thanksgiving 2 years ago. And then you come up with a plan, and then you execute, you try the plan, so that after Thanksgiving or whatever other holiday, you have more information on what still needs work and what you are doing well. That's why we have that framework. And that's why also, again, like, I think this is actually a really good time for you to try new things. But real talk, shouldn't we be working on this stuff anyway, year round? We know we're going to be more flexible here, right? Christmas, New Year's, you get it. Holidays, birthdays. I'm not going to keep listing those. You know, you get what I mean. Special scenarios, social settings. Shouldn't we be working on that stuff year round anyway? And that's my problem here. Like, that's what got me in this rant mode, to be honest with you. Because it's as if now, all of a sudden, we need to rush how to learn how to navigate these scenarios, right? Over the course of a few days or weeks. But the truth is, there's not a single tactic or quick fix out there that can replace the months of consistency it takes to build the habits that will get you through the holidays in the future. And that's how I want you to see this stuff. If right now you have a hard time navigating social settings, you're not going to just figure that out in one day either. We can make progress in a day, absolutely. That's why I'm saying, hey, you should be trying new things. But understand that it's not in the tactics, it's not in the quick fixes, it's in changing your habits that over time you build, and that happens over the course of months. Research shows that this may take anywhere from, I don't know, a couple months up to almost a full year, right? Well, 250-ish days, but still a long time. That's the point. It can, in some cases, take a little bit shorter, but for most people, it's going to take at least multiple months to kind of right? To create new habits. Your brain literally needs to make new connections. There's an actual change there going on within your brain. Maybe connections, other connections that you kind of want to get rid of, right? Those are the ones that are related to bad habits, in quotes. Also there, like those connections need to become weaker, and it only happens over time. You cannot quick fix yourself through that process. I want you to be able to enjoy the holidays to the fullest, without restriction, without guilt. You need to be able to eventually have the Christmas cookie and be cool with it and not make a big deal of it. But also, of course, not overdo it. You know what I mean? Because again, it's not holidays. It's not holiday months or holiday weeks. It's okay to have the cookie. It's okay to have, whatever it is. But let's also remember the big picture. We'll talk more about that in a sec. But I want you to zoom out. I don't want you to obsess about this stuff. I get it. You haven't learned this stuff yet. It makes sense. But let's zoom out. Because you know how we always talk about 80-20, where it's like, the flexible dieting rule, like 80% whole foods, 20% anything else. I want you to apply that same mindset or principle to everything else health and fitness related. Because you don't have to get everything perfect all the time to reach your goals. I mean, to be fair, like, I know exactly who I'm talking to. You're not someone who's a competitive bodybuilder who has to step on stage with a deadline, right? You're not, well, I have one client who is, but like, you're not an Olympic weightlifter who, right, needs to be a certain weight class at a certain date. You're not an actor, model with, right, where there's a deadline, we have to look a certain way, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, that's not you. I know exactly who I'm talking to. Like I said, like, I know my clients, I know my people. And I know that you just want to feel good. You want to be confident. You want to live a long, strong, healthy life. You want to get lean, stay lean. You want to learn how to enjoy life too, without guilt, without all or nothing shit, all while managing your busy life. I get it, right? It's a lot. It's a lot. But then again, you don't have to get everything perfect all the time to reach your goals. And that's something we just talked about recently, right? But 80% gets you to where you want to be. That goes for your food choices, your staying active, right? Your healthy habits, anything else. As long as you do most things on most days, most of the time, you're good. Now, don't take this as an excuse not to put your full effort into reaching your goals. I absolutely want you to show up for your goals. I want you to commit. And I want you to go in with that mindset of, hey, like, we're going to make shit happen. But remember that 80-20 means the following. If you overeat over the holidays, whether it's a planned kind of like letting go moment or it's an unplanned binge, it's okay. It's not a big deal. It's just one day. Look, if things didn't go the way you wanted, that literally just means that you still have some learning and growing to do. So you reflect, you reassess your plan, and we move on. And guess what? Next time you go out for food or something, you have something to celebrate, we try a different approach. We're trying something new. Or if you managed things well and you did well, great, cool. Reflect, move on. That's it. One day is never the cause of all of your problems. One day cannot ruin all of your progress. And the same thing goes for doing good work. You'll never reach your goals by working really hard for just one day, even if you do get everything perfect. So this is where it might sting a little. But as a coach, I need to push you as well. I need to challenge you here and there. And I'm very much aware that this is a total rant. We're very real here today, but hear me out. I need to be real with you sometimes. If the holidays are such a problem, does it say more about your 20% or about the other 80% of the year? Now, no matter the answer, right, positive or not, this question will help you create more awareness around where you're at. I don't want you to beat yourself up in case it says a lot more about the other 80%. But I do want you to think about this stuff. Let's now also get a little bit more actionable. So this is part 3, because I do want to leave you off with something to do so that once you're done listening to this podcast, and of course, after rating us 5 stars, right? But so that once you're done listening to my rant here, that you have something to take with you and to do right away. There's a few things here. There's a few things you can do right away. And there's actually something you want to do, let's say, as you go into your Thanksgiving dinner, etc. Make sense? Again, I'm big on taking action. But you know what? Sometimes taking action means a bit of self-reflection and practicing some of the mindset stuff. So let's get into that. The following 3 things will help you make the most of the holidays while setting yourself up for success in 2025? First of all, self-reflection. You know how I just asked you like to look at that 20% and that 80, like, hey, if it's such a big problem, is it really that 20%, right? Those few holidays, or is it really most of the year that we should be working on? These are very confronting things, but we got to start with self-reflection because change begins with awareness. And we already talked about zooming out, right? I want you to actually do that. Zoom out to see the big picture. What about that 80%? What are you doing most of the year? And I'm asking you this because you may or may not be into like this whole New Year's resolution thing. Personally, I think it can be great. It's just not for everyone, right? I do it, right? I have my yearly goals. But either way, the end of the year is a really good time to reflect and to see where you're at. And by the way, if you do need some specific kind of prompts or anything, I can definitely send some stuff over for sure. Or we'll probably record a podcast about this too. Now, with all that stressing about the holidays, right? When was the last time you actually gave yourself some credit for all the hard work that you've put in? And this is the second thing you can do after this podcast. Practicing gratitude. When was the last time you actually practiced gratitude for all the good things you do have in life? I mean, it's Thanksgiving, right? I know that you're already more kind of pushed to think about these kind of things, but I truly want you to take a few minutes. Take a moment. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the moment, in the now, right? You focus on today, taking action, etc., which you should do, of course. But it's easy to get so caught up that you forget how far you've already come. And listen, right now we're 20 minutes into this podcast or so. You've been listening to me ramble about this stuff. That means that you're here to grow and learn, right? That means that you are here serious about your goals, ready to make a change, whether that's right now, next week, next month, next year, right? When was the last time you gave yourself some fucking credit? When was the last time you actually zoomed out and actually said, hey, you know what, like, I get that life gets stressful, but it's actually really fucking cool as well. And there's a lot that I can be thankful for. Get it? We all have our own things. But there's a lot of stuff we can be grateful for. And then lastly, mindfulness. Now, what you do during the holidays, food and fitness-wise, is entirely up to you. You're a grown-ass person who can make grown-ass decisions. And there's no right or wrong way to behave during the holidays. But what you do will have consequences, both positive and negative. And as long as you own your decisions, your actions, and of course the consequences too, you remain in full control of the situation. But let's practice some mindfulness as well, which is, I know it's a vague term, but what it really means is just being in the moment. So as you enter your, celebration, family dinner, Thanksgiving, Christmas, any party, whatever it is, I want you to think about how you want to feel right now, but also after your meal. So both during as well as after, shortly after, maybe, an hour later, the next day, the next couple of weeks. And I also do want you to think what behaviors reflect your long-term goals, as well as what you want to get out of your current moment. Because again, I do want you to also prioritize enjoying yourself. It's really just a game of trade-offs, maybe, if you will. Or looking at, okay, so I'm going to fully enjoy. However, I have these kind of goals. Okay, what's maybe like a good middle ground? Do you ever ask yourself these questions? This is mindfulness. Being present in the moment and acting with intention. And that's why I wanted to kind of push you here a little bit to actually, before you sit down or even during your meal, kind of think about these kind of things. So I truly hope that this podcast, right, is very helpful for you. May it push you to kind of think about this stuff, even if it's for a minute, right before, during your meal. And of course, speaking of mindfulness, like, I want you to be fully present with the meal and your people around you. Just eat slowly, appreciate the good food, right? Be in that moment. Just in general, like holidays aside, like when was the last time you sat down to eat and you actually just had the meal, you know what I mean? Without swiping and all that shit. Like, you were actually present. When was the last time you did that? Where you actually just chew your food slowly and, right? Put the fork down every now and then. Practice those kind of things and be very aware of what you're currently doing and how that's going to affect you. And let's be fair. Let's get, for a second, let's get real. No one ever fucking feels good after overeating. It feels good in the moment. I know, because I do it too sometimes, right? Not as often, but still, I'm also human, right? We all have our moments. Not a single time does it feel good. Not a single time. You get lethargic, we feel bloated, the next day we feel like crap, maybe we have a big energy crash, right? It's never a good thing. And let's not forget, most people really kind of freaking out about this stuff and then allowing that one hiccup to just completely derail them for the rest of the week or even month. Because I already overeat, I might as well. Right? No, of course not. So thank you for listening to my rant. I know this is maybe a little different approach to the holiday season, but again, I think we need to be aware of the big picture. We need to zoom out more. You need to understand how far you've already come, but also think, hey, look, like most of the work doesn't happen right now. Like your success in like managing and navigating the holidays doesn't lie in what you exactly plan to do right now. And of course, like I said, there's great ways to go about it. But the skills you need to acquire and the habits you need to establish will take months to actually become part of who you are. And that's the shit that moving forward, maybe next holiday, will serve you in the long run. And that's how I want you to think. Don't get too caught up in the like trying to like now figure shit out. No. If right now you're trying to rush everything, and hey, by the way, you may try something from the internet and it might work for you. Great, awesome, right? Or you may not figure it out and that's also okay. Like either way, I want you to reflect and then, right, plan for next time, move on. But remember that it is going to take time to figure these kind of things out. There's no quick fix, no hack that will allow you to figure this out like right now. So most importantly, be in the moment, enjoy. Remember that it is just one day, specifically speaking, Thanksgiving, right? It's just one day. If you eat more than usual, cool. If it's planned, cool. Own the consequences, if there are any, if any, right? If you accidentally kind of end up binging, okay, let's address that later. Own it, accept it, move on. It's just one day. One day never ruins everything you work so hard for. I'm gonna give you one final tip. Either way, there's plenty of calories right now. This month in particular, I mean November, December, right? Use the calories. Get to the gym, get nice and active, lift your weights, because this is a great time to PR and really push because you have all that fuel. So you might as well use it, right? Go to the gym, bring some friends, have a good, workout, enjoy all the good food, have the Christmas cookie, have the leftovers if you want. And let's try to figure out, how to practice moderation and live flexibly while also keeping things healthy, practicing our healthy habits most of the time, most days. Happy Thanksgiving. I'll talk to you soon.